Alright boys, it's I, Daily Tactics here, back with the rarest of content. Sequel, trilogy, battles in Men of War, Assault Squad 2, the Star Wars Galaxy at War mod. I've got my early morning bean juice here, getting me nice and hyped up. Got some water here too, being a hydro homie, I hope you guys are as well. And today we have a massive First Order army invasion. So here is the First Order army, very large in numbers, probably about 500 or so troopers, plus 4 AT-ST tanks from the old wars, and they are going to be assaulting over this icy plain into some resistance trenches here. The resistance troopers fully decked out in snow trooper armor, which is pretty sick, and they're holding this primitive village that spans pretty far back. I mean, they have a lot of trenches dug in this village, and then the final defense is on this hilltop with another trench system. They don't have any tanks or turrets or anything like that because the resistance just didn't have the funding for it, but they do have some small arm bazookas and snipers and machine guns and stuff like that. So what they lack in hardcore tech, they make up for in number and also in weaponry for small arms. So it should be a pretty interesting battle. I can't wait to get into it. I hope you guys are excited too. Be sure to hit the like button if you did enjoy the video or if you're excited for it. Lets me know that you want to see more sequel trilogy content. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, boys? I'm going to be live on twitch.tv/dailytactics right when this video goes out. We're going to be playing some Star Wars Battlefront 2, so either after you watch this video, come hop in and join us, or if you don't want to miss the live stream, hop into the live stream, then come back and watch the video, whatever you choose. I'd appreciate having you guys there. It'd be fun. So yeah, either enjoy the video, or I'll see you at the live stream. Alright, peace. Alright fellas, here we go, pressing start right now, and there we go, the First Order army begins its march towards the resistance troopers in the trenches. I think the first line of trenches will fall pretty quick, given that the First Order will have access to these AT-STs, but then once the AT-STs go down, I think the First Order will be severely crippled, because then they're just down to infantry, which is obviously a lot harder to utilize in battle. There goes one AT-ST already. I think a bazooka trooper must have taken it out, but the other three still going strong and still wiping out these trenches. I mean, that entire right trench is almost dead. It actually seems like the AT-STs are focusing in almost entirely on the right trench. The left trench is getting essentially free fire on them, but then the First Order infantry is now beginning to fire on the trenches as well, getting some good shots in there and actually taking out a few of these troopers here, protecting their AT-STs from damage. Actually, a second AT-ST went down at some point there. I guess we missed it, but the other two still absolutely ravaging these resistance lines. Look at them pouring this fire onto these trenches, getting kill after kill, decimating these troopers from a distance. It's absolutely gorgeous, but there goes another one. That leaves only one AT-ST left alive. It's trying to deal with some of these troopers on this far riverbank over here, hiding in little foxholes. If I were to use one word to describe this battle, I would say foxholes and trenches. I mean, there are these tiny little itty-bitty foxholes dotting the entire battlefield, which I think is kind of sick, in all honesty. It's really cool when there are just a lot of pieces of cover for troopers to utilize. Flame Trooper over here for the First Order, pushing in with a squad of troopers. Hopefully he doesn't get shot, because if that tank on his back, filled to the brim with gasoline, gets shot, then this entire squad is blowing up sky high. It's one of the risks of having flamethrowers, but it is kind of a hallmark of the First Order army to utilize flame units, because they're just so devastating and so gripping in terms of fear. They are terrifying units to go up against. In World War I, actually, I'm currently taking a World War I class at my college. We were sort of talking about flamethrowers and mustard gas and things like that, and weapons like that actually didn't do that much damage to the enemy. For example, I think mustard gas, out of like the millions of people killed, I think it was like 10 million people or soldiers killed in World War I. Oh, there goes the last AT-ST. Only about 20,000 of them died due to mustard gas or something like that, which is a fraction of a percent, yet it's such a prolific idea. Mustard gas is always related with World War I, yet it just wasn't that effective, mainly due to wind and stuff like that. So it's just interesting how, you know, this thing that can kill you without doing any actual, like, physical damage to the body, without penetrating the body, it's a terrifying thing. And I think the same thing goes with flamethrowers, which makes them so feared in battle and so, you know, against all of the Geneva Conventions and whatnot. So I think the First Order is sort of going for the fear factor whenever they utilize any sort of flamethrower. I also think, you know, they would not be beyond using mustard gas. I could totally see the First Order and the Empire utilizing mustard gas in battle. Either way, rocket launcher hits a whole group of troopers right there. That was a pretty devastating strike. The First Order does seem to be in the first trench line right now, and they're very cluttered together, which could be good and bad. It does mean that the Resistance does have better accuracy in just hitting a blob of troopers, but it also means that the First Order is going to get a lot more fire output in one area, and they're going to have a lot of suppressive fire ability. So it's both a good thing and the bad thing, I would say, for the defenders at this moment in time. The First Order definitely did take some serious losses in that first little assault there. Red are dead First Order troopers, yellow are dead Resistance troopers. As we can see, it's probably about even losses for both sides, except you got to remember the First Order did lose 4 ATSTs, which is pretty devastating. So, you know, starting off this battle okay, I would say. They're not doing, like, spectacularly. They're not exactly, like, wowing me with their ability, but they certainly are, you know, they're making it happen. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just that they could be doing a little bit better. They did lose all 4 ATSTs essentially right off the bat, and they also lost a lot of infantry, but at the same time, they're actually making strides towards victory, so you can't really dog them for that. Either way, the trench lines for the second line of defense for the rebels or resistance are getting pretty beat up right now. They're not completely dead. They're still putting up a pretty good defense, although a lot of suppression I'm seeing down the line. However, they are taking some losses, and it's not holding super steadily, so I'd say the First Order will probably be able to take the second line of defense pretty easily. They're coming through a village where they have just a lot of cover available to them, so I think that is helping pretty tremendously. There are still a few flamethrower troopers. There we go. Got it out of my mouth there. Crawling on forward. If these guys do manage to crawl far enough forward to let loose their flames, the Resistance will be in some trouble, because these things are absolutely devastating. Literally, if a single flame licks an infantry trooper, they instant die, which is horrific in this game. It is a super powerful weapon, but the real drawback is, of course, the range. You know, this guy has to get really, really close in order to do it. He still hasn't died yet. I just don't think he's a big target for the Resistance right now. I think they're more worried about the guys with guns charging them at the moment than this random flame trooper who's sort of crawling through the grass trying to get close to him. You know, they're definitely choosing their battles here and what person to kill first. Oh, this poor Rhodian dead against his foxhole. Oh, that looks so brutal. It's kind of sick, though. The horrors of war. That'd make a good screenshot. Yeah, that's a cool screenshot right there. I like that. Meanwhile, behind him, some more human troopers trying to defend as best they can. But the First Order is relentless in their push right now, and the second line of defense is crumbling at this point. They don't have the troopers, I think, to uphold this. But they did manage to get a good number of kills here in the second line of defense, which is great. It is kind of a war of attrition here. The more troopers that they can kill, you know, at each line of defense, the better off the Resistance is going to be. The third line back here has a river separating it from the second line, so they've got a bit more of a natural barrier right there. I'd say actually less troopers in this line of defense than the other one. There's still a good number, but the first two lines I would say probably had more inside of them. And then there's sort of staggering of troopers back here, and then the very last line has probably the most number of troopers. So, you know, they're going to finish this battle off with an absolute bang. Either way, it actually seems like the second line of defense does have a few troopers, you know, sort of holding out here. This guy's actually got an old Clone Wars era DC-15A. Him and his machine gunner buddy do end up going down there, but, you know, they did a last little hoorah, which was kind of cool. So the First Order is at the second line of defenses. They've successfully wiped them out, and now they will proceed on to the third line attempting to take that over. Actually, a few flame troopers already way up here. Those guys are seriously in the vanguard of this battle. They are pushing pretty far forward. I think the third line of defense could be a good spot where they could get a good number of kills, because they've got this natural sort of hill blocking them from the second line of defense, so the first order is going to have to get real close to be accurate and actually be able to kill a lot of these troopers, which is great. Not to mention they've got this sort of natural barrier here, so if they throw some grenades on the ice or the ice blows up at all, it'll be unpassable, and then they're going to have to take the bridge. But that, of course, requires the resistance to actually break the ice there. So we'll see if that happens too. The third area of defense here is definitely promising, I would say, for a solid little stand here. And already we're starting to see bodies piling up for the first order assaulters. But it's all whether or not the resistance actually manages to hunker down and make it happen. I do think we will see the last line of defense here for the resistance. At the rate things are going right now, the First Order has sort of hit cruise control mode and are just sort of, you know, yeeting themselves forward and, you know, really making a lot of progress. So I would definitely expect us to see the last line of defense for the resistance fully enacted here, and we're gonna see this battle out into the end. I do think they might be able to hold at the very last line of defense, though, because that is a powerhouse defense area. It just depends on how many First Order troopers can make it there, you know? It's really up to these rebels to decide whether or not later in battle they win. And if they stand tall and they manage to get a lot of First Order kills, then I think we'll be A-okay, which will be pretty cool. By the way, I saw a comment the other day. Oh, that guy literally got disintegrated. Holy cow. That's not what the comment said. That guy too, what? There was a comment that was like, does anyone else follow one trooper through battle and just see if he dies or not? And that got me thinking, that could be like a really fun type of a video we could do. We could have like one trooper and we just follow him around on a massive scale battle like this. Like, we don't look at the rest of the battle. We literally just follow this one trooper around for the entirety of the battle until he dies. I think that could be like a really neat type of like experimental Men of War video to do. What do you guys think? Would you be interested in seeing that? Of course, there would have to be some stipulations to it. Like, do we give that one soldier more health so that way he maybe lives longer? What weapons do we give him? Do we make him another color than other units so that way we can actually pinpoint him out in a crowd? Something like that? I don't know. I think it could be a really interesting concept for a video. Either way, the First Order, like I estimated, are actually taking a lot of losses on this bank. You know, they're coming up over this hill here and then getting just blasted to high heck by some serious resistance fire. They are managing to kill a good number of these resistance troopers, but the damage is being done. The resistance is packing a serious punch on this riverbank, and I think it might just be enough for the resistance to win out this battle. I think the damage is pretty severe right now against the First Order army, which is exactly what they wanted. Oh, that poor Rhodian. He was trying his hardest, man. He was really trying hard. The Rhodians are definitely very present in this battle. I didn't realize I had added so many Rhodians to it, but I guess I did, so maybe it's some sort of Rhodian legion mixed with humans and some Quarrens and stuff like that. Oh, looks like a flamethrower unit did end up scorching some of the trenches over here. A few of them must be still alive. That guy burned to death. Very sad. The third row of trenches does appear to be down for the count now, but they did some serious damage to the First Order. Look at these bodies. So red are dead First Order troopers, and there are a lot of them. Not to mention there was a lot of disintegration over here too. From the resistance bazooka troopers, and overall numbers for the First Order are seriously dwindled, and they are going up against the hardest defense. So first, before they get to the hardest defense area, there are some scattering of defenders in random foxholes and whatnot within the wilderness here. Actually, a bunch of them are already dead by this point. And then, you know, there's a few tucked away into random cottages and stuff like that. There's definitely a lot of troopers before they get to the actual final defense on this hill. So this is going to be the toughest part of the battle for the First Order. I'm very curious to see if they actually manage to take the win here. I'm starting to have my doubts. I'm starting to have my reservations. After that defense from the resistance troopers... Oh, I accidentally unplugged my headphones there. After that, yeah, resistance trooper defense on the shoreline, I'm starting to think that the First Order might not have this. They might get crushed here. I'm just saying. I am just saying. But they're still moving, you know. Morale seems to still be high. Maybe it's the fact that, like, if they fail in their mission, there's always the penalty of death or whatever amongst their troopers. So, you know, they're still chugging along. They're still making this charge happen and throwing themselves forward. So you got to give them props to that. Although death is pretty imminent for most of these fellas. Making use of a few of the foxholes with dead resistance soldiers already in them. That's kind of grody, bro. That is a little bit grody, but you do you, man. If you want to use that, go for it. I always love, you know, cinematics like this where it's like troopers running through, you know, wooded areas and stuff like that. There's something so World War II-y about it, and it's so gorgeous and beautiful looking. Like, it's very cool to see them, like, running around through nature in a war zone type of a deal. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that Old Republic cinematic where they're all fighting in the woods during an ambush of, like, the Sith army. Honestly, probably one of my favorite Star Wars cinematics of all time. If they made, like, a full movie of the Old Republic in that sort of way, I would be so hyped about it. I would be so unbelievably hyped. Not to mention, I think I got to do that myself. I think I should start using some Old Republic stuff more and more in battles, because it seriously has been quite a while. You know, I have not taken the plunge into Old Republic territory for months, really, for a very, very long time. So that, you know, maybe I need to do some more of that pretty soon. You know, sequel stuff I usually do once or twice a month. Imperial Rebel stuff about the same, and then Old Republic stuff, it can be 2 or 3 months before I do it. I don't know, it's just my interest has always fallen into the Clone Wars, and so I've sort of built my channel around the Clone Wars, because first of all, it's what I'm most knowledgeable about, it's what I enjoy the most, and it seems to be what the majority of you guys enjoy the most. So that's kind of why I do it, but I suppose maybe I should dip into some other stuff, you know. I mean, we're doing it today, so that's always a good thing, you know. It always sort of reinvigorates my interest in the sequels and original trilogy and Old Republic whenever I actually do a video like this. But I just need to stick with it. I mean, of course, I think the majority of my channel will always be Clone Wars related, just because it's my most passionate era of Star Wars. But, you know, I am totally open to doing other stuff too, because I think it's fun, and I think there's definitely like a niche market for it too, because not a lot of people do those types of videos anyway. So, you know, maybe I could swing in there and get some views from it, which is always a, you know, pretty good thing. I always tell myself I'm not in it for the views, but, you know, a little part of me always feels good when I get like a little algorithm boost and I get a good performing video. You know what I mean? Like, I'd probably do this anyway, even if I have a small audience. I mean, heck, that's been proven pretty recently when I started doing Twitch. Like, I only have an average of like 10, 15 viewers a Twitch stream, but I still do it because it's fun and it's what I'm, you know, sort of interested in life. But, you know, it's always kind of nice to know you succeeded and, you know, you get a good performing video or a good performing stream or whatever. It's always kind of neat. Oh, now this is a cool screenshot right here. This fella holding a foxhole with a dead rebel, he like already occupying it. Now that shows the brutality and the uncaring of the First Order in one little get-go, and then he dies too. Something poetic about that. There's something very poetic about that. Look, it was happening over here as well. Oh, 2 First Order troopers are dead in this foxhole. Wow. Either way, this First Order attack on the final hill defense is not going so well. I mean, we can see that their troopers are seriously spread out at this juncture. They have lost immense numbers throughout the entirety of this battle, and they are down to the very scraps of their army right now. And the resistance has taken few losses at the top of this hill. I mean, they have lost some, but not many. Their morale must be pretty high right now, seeing over the hill, seeing that their enemy is seriously depleted in terms of total numbers and whatnot. You know, they must be pretty full of themselves at the moment and feeling pretty good, because these stormtroopers are not making it up there, I think. Yeah, this I think this will be it probably for the First Order. I think this is where they'll crumble. For sure, dudes. For sure. If we look at the minimap right now, red are First Order troopers, blue are the Resistance, and I'd say for the first time in the entirety of the battle, the First Order outnumbers the Resistance. Or no, is outnumbered by the Resistance. They have less men than the Resistance, which is pretty impressive, actually, considering how they widely outnumbered the Resistance at the very start of the battle, and they've dwindled down to these sort of numbers. They're scattered out and just trying to lay down as much fire as possible. Probably in their heads they're going, this is futile, why are we doing this, we're all just gonna die anyway. And yet if they retreat, they'd probably be punished by Captain Phasma or whoever is in high command behind them. So they're gonna keep plugging away until their deaths, basically. That's what a slave army does, man. It's what a slave army does. It's pretty dark. Pretty dark. You know, they're not dying too fast, though. In fact, things are going pretty quiet on the battlefield right now. I think not all of the Resistance troopers can actually fire at them. Yeah, a bunch of them are sort of behind the hill, too. So it's really only the front lines that can manage to fire at the First Order. So it's slow going right now. It is definitely a little bit slow going. Let's see. The far left over here has taken some severe losses. Wowza. Wowza, wowza. They took a lot, actually, yeah. Wonder why that is. Oh, maybe it's these guys up here. Oh, yeah, there's like a blockade of Resistance troopers within that one little trench itself. So maybe those guys were the biggest help for them. Also, these guys right here down the middle have really good cover, and they're managing to spray the First Order pretty well. Yeah, I mean, not much in terms of advancements for the First Order. In fact, the battlefield goes quiet a little bit there. It is quieting down quite a bit. Take a swig of bean juice, boys. Delicious. Delicious bean juice. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, I saw the Sonic movie yesterday, by the way. Boys, if you have not seen the Sonic movie yet, highly recommend it. Jim Carrey is a national treasure, and we must protect him at all costs. I love that man so much. Dumb and Dumber still remains in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I know, it's a stupid movie, but I love it so much, and I love Jim Carrey so much. And he performed so well in Sonic. He seriously did. The entire right flank of the First Order is dead now. It's really up to the middle and the far left with just a few troopers. Just a few troopers. Should we do like a little bonsai charge here? I think that might be kind of fun. There's a few soldiers like way behind there. Should we do a little let's wait a little bit. We'll squat them up because that's a rule in the daily universe that we'll squat up soldiers at the end when things start to dwindle down. Just giving the attackers one last little effort at a push. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it's actually detrimental to the assault, but you know, it's the rule. We do it now. We do that. do. I am a child. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of this constant back and forth right now. Neither side fully being able to kill the rest of the other side. Alright, everything goes quiet. Alright, it's time for the last hoorah. We're doing a bonsai charge, boys. Alright, we'll center our attack in one locale. Where's the best position to attack, do you think? Huh. I'm thinking this trench right here. Alright, we'll go in slow-mo. Alright, boys. Up! Up and at 'em, boys. Up and at 'em. We're doing a last hoorah charge. Get to that tiny little bunker right there. This is where we hold. This is where we stand. For Sparta! For Sparta! Go. Go, go, go. You guys got this. You guys got this. Alright. First Order moving through the trees rapidly. Dodging Resistance bullets left and right. A few do go down before they make it to the trench, but a bunch do manage to make it into the trench. They're getting some good fire out. Uh-oh, there is a bazooka trooper out there, though. He could be detrimental to this assault. He is getting a lot of shots off. The boys are in the trench, though. A few of them still taking losses. That is a big bazooka shot right there, and it wipes out almost the entirety of the troopers that were in the trench. A few more come through. That guy gets disintegrated. Oh, a few more coming through. They're getting shot up pretty good here. The boys might have gotten a kill or two more, but I don't think that many. All right, let's sound the retreat. There are five First Order troopers left alive. Most of them, or 2 of them, way back here. Oh, 2 got stuck way over here. They're like stuck looking at the ground. What are you doing? Weirdos? Okay. Okay, so there 6 First Order troopers survived the entirety of this battle. That is rather pathetic. And the Resistance had a whole boatload of soldiers left. Let's get them out of the trenches. They can celebrate over here. Yeah, they had a ton of soldiers left at the end of this battle. All of them in prime defensive positions. So, you know, there was times when I thought the First Order really had this in the bag, but then, you know, slowly but surely the Resistance / Rebels did manage to, you know, take them all out. They probably had about 50, 60 soldiers left alive. So, not a bad battle at all for the Resistance. For the First Order, pretty bad. So if we look at the losses here, yellow are dead Rebels, red are dead First Order Stormtroopers, and, you know, some of these guys probably got disintegrated and whatnot, so take everything with a grain of salt. It's not going to be perfectly accurate on the battlefield, but we'll get a representation here of what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, lots of dead First Order, lots of dead Resistance, especially right here. This was the turning point in the battle for the Resistance, the lake shore, or the river shore. This was it. That was it right there. And then the last stand over here, also very, very good for the Resistance. Well done indeed by these chaps. They pulled it off. The Mad Lads did it. I was very surprised. Either way, guys, I'm going to be streaming right when this video goes out. So if you finish it, why don't you send me a code? Why don't you do Vive la Resistance in the comment section? That way I know you guys finished and watched all the way through. Y'all are a bunch of champs. And I'll give you a like or a heart if I remember to. And then head on over to twitch.tv/dailytactics to watch some Star Wars Battlefront 2 being streamed live by me if you're interested in that at all. Either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Peace. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to click that subscribe button for more content, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted to whenever I live stream or upload. Thanks so much.